We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Biden pulls out of the presidential race. Evan Gershkovich found guilty by Russia. ISIS attacks surge, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. President Joe Biden on Sunday dropped out of the 2024 presidential race and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic Party's nominee, bowing to weeks of growing pressure by his own party members to quit his re-election bid against former President Donald Trump. "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president," Biden wrote in a post on the social media site X. "And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term," Biden wrote. "I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision." Biden's bombshell decision came after a sharp spike in recent days in the number of congressional Democrats publicly calling for him to step aside for another nominee. The Democrats changing their nominee would bring the matter to court in some states. On ABC's The Week yesterday, Speaker Mike Johnson said, "Every state has its own system, and in some of these, it's not possible to simply just switch out a candidate." Joe Manchin has stated he may rejoin the Democratic Party and challenge Kamala Harris for the nomination. The Democratic Party will ultimately choose their new nominee without the input of the Democratic voters. Congresspeople have come forward to say they knew that Biden was cognitively impaired at least as far back as September 2021 and covered it up. A Russian court has handed down its sentence for Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich after over a year of proceedings. The court found him guilty of gathering secret information while reporting on a trip to the Ural Mountains. He has been sentenced to 16 years in prison. Prosecutors claimed Gershkovich gathered secret information on orders from the CIA about a plant that produces and repairs tanks and other military equipment. Both the CIA and the Wall Street Journal have denied this charge. A cyber outage swept the globe on Friday, disrupting air travel and payments and knocking down some stocks. More than 21,000 flights globally were delayed. The main culprit appeared to be a software update from CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity company, which snarled up millions of Microsoft Windows devices. Elon Musk, the Tesla CEO, called it the biggest IT fail ever. CrowdStrike's chief executive later said a fix had been deployed. A federal appeals court on Thursday temporarily blocked a key Biden administration student loan forgiveness and repayment plan. The order could have significant ramifications for millions of borrowers. President Biden's Saving on a Valuable Education Plan is a new income-driven repayment program designed to provide affordable payments and multiple pathways to loan forgiveness. The Education Department unveiled the SAVE plan last year and began implementing the program in phases, but several groups filed two separate legal challenges this spring, arguing that the Biden administration exceeded the authority Congress provided. Thursday's appeals court ruling is just the latest in a roller coaster of court orders related to the SAVE legal challenges. The whiplash of rulings has threatened to throw much of the federal student loan repayment system into chaos. The number of attacks claimed by ISIS in Iraq and Syria are on track to more than double in 2024 from last year, as the group looks to bolster its capabilities, warned the U.S. Central Command last week. ISIS has claimed credit for 153 attacks in Iraq and Syria during the first 6 months of this year, which have prompted 196 Defeat ISIS missions in 2024 alone. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned on Friday that Iran could produce fissionable nuclear material in 1 or 2 weeks as the State Department renews a sanctions waiver for Iraq to buy Iranian energy. Critics were quick to blame the Biden administration for enabling Iran to pursue nuclear weapons and allowing the rogue nation to sell its oil. Biden reversed many of former President Trump's tough sanctions against Tehran. What's breathtaking is the complete lack of self-awareness that it was his own maximum deference policy that brought us to this moment, and worse, that his solution is to double down on the failed appeasement strategy. Rich Goldberg, senior advisor at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and former Trump administration official, told Fox News Digital. Rather than snapping back the UN sanctions and testing maximum pressure, the administration just extended a sanctions waiver and is conducting indirect negotiations via Oman, Goldberg lamented. The U.S. military has started shutting down operation of the hugely expensive and troublesome pier into the Gaza Strip, citing difficulties with distribution as a key factor in the decision. This chapter might be over in President Biden's mind, but the national embarrassment that this project has caused is not. The only miracle is that this doomed from the start operation did not cost any American lives, Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi said in a statement issued after the project's closure. I have been calling for an end to this election year gimmick since its primetime inception at the State of the Union. While I am glad it is finally concluded, we cannot buy back the $230 million needlessly spent, and significant questions remain about the Biden administration's poor planning for this mission, Wicker stressed. Israel's defense minister struck an ominous tone on Friday after an Iranian-made drone fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen struck Tel Aviv, telling Israeli media that Jerusalem would settle the score. I held an operational situation assessment this morning to review the steps required to strengthen our defense arrays in light of events overnight, as well as the intelligence and operational activities required against those responsible for the attack, Israeli Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant said in a statement. The year 2024 is marked by war. We must be prepared for every scenario and every arena. Israel's Air Force on Saturday launched surgical strikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran-sponsored Houthi terrorist regime in Yemen. According to an Israeli Defense Forces statement, a short while ago, IDF fighter jets struck military targets of the Houthi terrorist regime in the area of the Al Hudaydah port in Yemen in response to the hundreds of attacks carried out against the State of Israel in recent months. In a video statement posted on X, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the port we attacked is not an innocent port. It was used for military purposes. It was used as an entry point for deadly weapons supplied to the Houthis by Iran. Netanyahu, who is due to address Congress next week, congratulated the IDF and Air Force for their operation and warned, I have a message for Israel's enemies. Don't misunderstand us. We will protect ourselves in every way, on every front. Anyone who harms us will pay a very heavy price for his aggression. Netanyahu noted that the port was over 1,000 miles away from Israel's borders, saying it makes it clear to our enemies that there is no place that the long arm of the State of Israel will not reach. Last week, we lost 2 legends. Lou Dobbs, a pioneering financial news journalist, has died. Dobbs first rose to prominence on CNN, which he joined at the network's launch in 1980. He anchored Moneyline, a business news program. He was 78. Dobbs' death was announced Thursday on his social media accounts. A cause of death was not disclosed. We also lost Bob Newhart, one of the first comedians to star in a TV sitcom based on his stand-up persona. He died at his home in Los Angeles at age 94. His publicist, Jerry Digney, confirmed his death. The stammering Midwesterner, known for his self-deprecating manner and starchy wit, had a gift for making audiences think he was always just playing himself, and at times that was almost true. He once said Dr. Robert Hartley, his popular 1970s role on The Bob Newhart Show, was 85% him, 15% TV character. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.